What is this witch hunt in the Western world? And why is moral courage such a scarce resource here in the so-called home of the brave? I think it's because an establishment orthodoxy rife with ultimatums stands in the way of our humanity. Because some very loud voices are calling for the shaming, shunning, and marginalization of their fellow people. And standing up to this threat to our freedom takes great strength and sovereignty. So what motivates a person to muster up courage in a time when it's quite controversial to step out as an individual? And how many of us are there? Well, I've got a plan to find out. In my new series, Leaving the Left for Liberty, I'll be talking with whistleblowers, dissidents, and other alternative voices in the Western world who have left the culture of the political left for more creative freedom, professional freedom, and personal freedom. They're not necessarily leaving the left for the right. They're libertarians, independents, classically liberal, and newly conservative voices, all cutting ties with dogma and in search of something new. No issue is off the table. We'll explore critical race theory, woke comedy, censorship, mandates, the tango of individualism and collectivism, the desire for honest art, for spirituality, and more. These people have risked so much. What makes them heroes in my eyes is the way they're rising above the modern-day witch hunt, and they're organically following the steps of the hero's journey, leaving a familiar world behind, learning to navigate an unfamiliar world, and returning home to the self, transformed. As some of you may know, I am on my own journey of leaving the left for liberty. As a writer, I'm growing beyond the orthodoxy of our time, and I've tried calling for unity in a time of stark division. But honestly, I'm not ready to unify with everyone right now. There are just some things I cannot reckon with. It's been an interesting year, to say the least. In spring and at Freedom Fest, I starred in Free the People's film, Real Unity. I imagined a world of unity and diversity of thought. That's the tough one. But without justice, without balance, unity is tyranny. You know, since leaving the left in 2020, I've reflected a lot on what many of my loved ones would call the Bernie days. Back then, I thought we agreed that the corrupt power in big tech, big pharma, big corporations and corporate media, that they needed to be kept in check for the greater good of all Americans. A top-down big government approach no longer resonates with me. But I do think it would help for each of us to embrace the hippie or the renegade within, and to acknowledge that the institutional powers are centralized on the left, and they are plagued by agendas that do not serve any of us in the long run. Any blindness to this reality is leaving many who are politically homeless in the middle or on the right, feeling like there is an injustice in our friendships, our families, our schools, and our work environments. That power imbalance needs to be addressed. Then we can fight the power and harness our sovereign powers as individuals together for good. But as long as there's an agenda, as long as one person or group believes they know best and they aren't willing to humanize someone who is choosing differently than they do, there will be no collective union. So why, when given the opportunity to turn toward love and bravery, are we still taught to fear the witches and not those who burn them alive? I'll tell you why. Because fanaticism lives on and fear reigns over those that will it. Because coercion and control power the cycle of abuse plaguing our world, and none of us are immune to the human condition. This has been a hard year and a half of fighting for the human body, mind, and spirit. We must be careful not to lose our humanity while fighting for humanity itself. We need healing. We need stories. We need balance. And contrary to the loudest voices who seek to silence, we need freedom. You know, I wonder more and more lately, what stops a fellow human from standing up and defending the persecuted? And what might motivate someone to embark on a hero's journey and speak their conscience? I'm Sienna Mae Heath, and this is Leaving the Left for Liberty.